Guys, I'm gonna try to do this in one take because I'm coming back from jury duty. Spent out there from let's see, I got there I guess around 8 o'clock this morning, and it's after 4 in the afternoon now. I wasn't picked. There was no reason for me to be there this morning because they spent 2 hours going over exemptions and then hearing people that had excuses. It was very inefficient this morning. Ended up before 2 judges, the one this morning and then this afternoon. And at the end of this morning, they said, okay, now remember, I wasn't interviewed or anything. They just picked out 30 names and said, go to this courtroom after lunch. And the afternoon consisted of hearing all the responsibilities of being on the jury and everything. And both judges want to be comedians. I don't know. I don't know if getting potential jurors to laugh or something is a technique, but I don't get that. But anyways, the whole process, they really need an efficiency expert here. It was ridiculously inefficient and long. But anyways, so this afternoon it was all about first having a lengthy talk from the judge about your responsibilities and stuff like that as a juror. Could have easily been condensed and the message would have been less confusing for some. And then it was the district attorney, representative from the district attorney's office, and then the defense lawyers deal to, you know, throw out questions to the potential jury pool and then determine whether or not you would be on the jury. The judge instructed us now that all of the instructions and not to talk about it and all that once we left the courtroom, that was all lifted. So that's why I'm talking now. It was a DWI case. If you're the defense, I'm one of the last people you want in that jury for DWI. So the questions he's asked, it pretty much eliminated any chance that I'd be on a jury. And without going into too much detail. Oh, so anyways, I'm going to tell you about the civil trial I was on. And I'm not going to exaggerate. It's going to sound like exaggeration. You're not going to believe the end part of this. But I swear to God, it's the truth. So the case was about this guy that left the drugstore parking lot, came out, and turned into a car on the far, hit a car going, he's going to, there's traffic going this way, traffic going that way. He comes out to go to the far lane, and he hits a car. The defendant, which is the guy that came out of the parking lot, he was, I don't know, he had to have been at least 80 years old. And, it's hard for him to walk and everything else. He's the guy that was driving. The accuser, since this was Sue, she was a young girl, in her 20s, and she was suing him for her medical expenses and stuff like that, which were extensive. The evidence was overwhelming. It was just ridiculously obvious that, yeah, the guy did it. I mean, it was just no doubt about it. Part of the instructions from the judge were there were certain things that were not part of the deliberation, not part of that shouldn't be discussed in the jury room and everything else. Well, on the jury, there were 3 or 4 older ladies and some older guys. Even then I was an older guy, but they immediately zeroed in on the things that the judge said not to discuss. It had nothing to do with the case, to just go over the evidence. They zeroed in on the fact that this young girl was dressed sexy, she was very attractive, everything else. I mean, they made her out to be a streetwalker. She wasn't. And that she was scamming to collect money and all this. It was just utterly ridiculous. So the deal came out 11-1 in favor of her having no case, not getting the lawsuit, not getting any money, 0 money. I was the one. She needed to be paid. I mean, that's all there was to it. But anyways, I was the one. Now here's the part you're not going to believe, but I swear it's true. They call the jury back in. The jury gives its deal, okay. So she loses her case. The old guy, he's, free as a bird, doesn't have to pay her a dime for all of her medical expenses. And whatever expenses were included. But anyways, the judge, rather than just dismissing the jury, sends the jury back into the jury room where we were. Says, just go back there a minute. We don't know why. He comes back in a few minutes. He comes into the room and he says, who was the one person that voted in favor of the lawsuit, the plaintiff, whatever you're going to call the girl? I thought I was in trouble. I thought he was singling me out for a reason. So I said, yeah, it was me. He turned to the other 11 people. He says, is he the only one that was in the same courtroom with me that saw everything else? Man, he read them the riot act. He didn't change anything to my knowledge, nothing like that. But he made it crystal clear that he and I heard a completely different case than the other 11 jurors. It was funny. It was funny. And he at least relieved me a little bit, because to me that was I couldn't stop shaking my head. Even to this day, I think, the other 11 people based their decision solely on the fact that she was a young, attractive girl. She was dressed, sexy, but not streetwalker sexy. Tight clothes and all that, and she looked really good. And the old people on the jury just held that against her. Just, like she didn't deserve anything because she looked so good. So, anyways, that was a decision by a jury that had nothing to do with the case. It really, I could go on and on, but it really left a horrible taste in my mouth when it came to jury trial. Obviously, the old guy's jury, the old guy's lawyer did one heck of a job picking that jury. He blew it with me, but he did a good job. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll probably have to edit some of it out, but yeah, today they definitely need an efficiency expert. It could have been done so much better, less personnel. It really showed a lot of wastefulness with both time and our taxpayer money, especially the morning. The morning was just ridiculous to have tons and tons of people there just to screen a few people who, weren't just going to do their civic duty. Were either legitimately or not, or coming up with excuses. Let them come in an hour early. Anybody that's going to contest being on the jury, let them come in an hour early, or really 2 hours early, and let the rest of us, sit home, have breakfast, relax, and everything else. There's no reason for me to be there this morning. So, there you go. Be strong, be happy, be a good neighbor, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.